That is cool, Jim. Hi, and we're live. First off, I want to tell everybody the topic here, just in case they have not been able to see the post here. It's Glock for noobs, Glock for newbies, however you want to say that. You know, every day there's somebody new getting into guns or getting into Glocks, and they want to know, the differences. And I figured give them one concise and formatted chat so we can talk about the difference in the generations and the models of Glocks. And I want to thank the person. He's the one that won the prize pack that I sent the information to. We'll get more to the prize pack here in a second. Also in this chat, one person over at gunchannels.com who has not won a prize pack yet will have a chance to win tonight as well. So if you're watching that over at gunchannels.com, awesome. It's a great site. If you're not already over there, go check it out. And the third thing is Glocktober.us. That's a website where you can go check out all these amazing prizes that you have a chance to win from this contest that GWeb set up. If you want to talk a little bit more about the Glocktober.us, go for it right now.
Well, I like to think of it as spectacular, but I guess you could think of them as amazing. But basically, it's just a bunch of stuff that Glock gave us that we've had some help getting it out to everybody, and people like yourself are helping us to do that. So thanks for doing so.
You're welcome. And also, one panel member here tonight will win, and sadly, it looks like it's just going to be one person right now, unless somebody else jumps in who hasn't already won. So,
a lot of people don't know because you failed to mention it, but part of this whole promotion thing is Quark's going to get a big Glock tattoo, so look forward to that in a future video.
I would actually have to be able to afford to get a tattoo.
You heard it. We're now crowdsourcing a big ass Glock tattoo for Quark. So look for that
you just got to go to one of those guys. You got to go to one of those guys that's practicing tattoos.
And like a student.
Yeah, just student.
Great idea.
Yep.
Glock
All right,
party.
so,
Go to
also
the Glock
in
party.
prison. Prisoners are willing to do it through the fence for cigarettes, dude.
I would gladly do a crowdsourcing for my first Glock firearm. If anybody wants to help me out, let me know if it's a good idea. Because Quark is damn broke. It's not fun when your cats are eating better than you are. And yes, I know, sad. But I want to do introductions here. We've got Daniel.
How you doing?
We got DB Cooper, also known as Deez. Who is away.
One button. Yeah,
One button.
Fire clean is all over my hands.
And
Hey,
have you won a prize
what
pack
did you
there, DB?
oh yeah, first one I think from Edge.
Okay, cool. We got GWebs.
Howdy.
We've got Huck from Ghost Town Custom Knives.
Yo.
We got Just Daniel, who has a chat tomorrow night.
Yes, and another opportunity to win Glock swag. If you don't win tonight, check out tomorrow. We have another giveaway.
We've got Moon Food 78.
Hello, how's it going?
I just want to say 76, but then I correct myself. And then we got Pink Panther here, also known as Scott.
Yep, thanks for having me.
We got Thin Blue Line, who you probably won't hear from for the rest of the chat, so speak up now,
Hey,
Thin.
how's everybody doing? They will hear from me, Court.
And then you got myself here, Mr. Quark71. I hope you know who I am and you found this chat awesome. Easily, excuse me, found this chat easily. Nothing was saying awesome for it, but first thing I want to talk about, though, is a lot of people talk about, Gen 3 and Gen 4 Glocks, and the differences between the two. One of the easy ones, at least for me, that I knew the difference between, the third generation and fourth generation when you buy them new, is the fourth gen come with an extra mag. So, one of the Glock experts in this chat, could you explain the other differences between the third and the fourth gen that may not be as easily noticeable?
Yeah, the fourth one sucks.
The fourth one has a bigger mag release and different stippling
So,
on the...
I have one right here.
A little different texture.
Different texture.
The fourth gen has like this squared kind of texturing to it, and then the mag release button is a lot bigger. And then it also has a spot on the back that you can add additional back straps if your hands are bigger. And there's also the dual captive recoil spring. Supposed to help with the recoil. I don't really notice a difference, but supposed to.
And that's a Gen 4, and they were notorious to have bad springs in the first run. It's something you don't have to worry about now.
Yeah, I had, this is one of the first ones. I bought it in 2011, and I went through about 3 different recoil springs before I finally got one that was good.
Okay, that's something else. No, yeah, that's pretty simple. I mean, there's not a whole lot of changes, but would you say the, for those that have the, Gen 4 and the Gen 3, which one do you think is a better model if somebody's out there looking?
Gen 4. Love my Gen
Why?
4s. I have several Glocks, and they're all Gen 4s.
Live in the future, Gen 4.
In the future.
Gen 3. Because a Gen 4 is unnecessary.
That's true.
11? That means you're like living in the past. Gen 3.
No. I'm just waiting for Gen 5.
Well, see, I went with Gen 4s because of the grip angle. The Gen 3s, I never really liked the grip angle of the Gen 3s because I'm an old 1911 fan. And then when the Gen 4s came out with no back straps, it's almost like a 1911 angle grip. That's the only reason why I bought my 2 Gen 4s.
And I'm left-handed, which is why I love Gen 4s, because you can reverse the mag catch. So if you're left-handed, you absolutely want the Gen 4.
That is a plus, I have to say, of the Gen 4 if you're left-handed.
So if you're a lefty out there, definitely look at Gen 4.
Since we're talking to newbies, I'm going to throw something out there that I'm not going to say you guys are wrong, but it's not necessary to move your mag catch over, and you can do yourself just as much good learning how to run a regular, whatever, standard mag release when you're left-handed. But it does give you the option.
The mag release, that is actually kind of a good point because, in this situation where, shit does hit the fan and, that Glock is, I'm going to say it, the most popular handgun out there, you're going to be able, you got to be able to use something that is set up for what the majority of Americans use, which would be the right-handed version. So
I think to assume that the right-handed version that people won't be able to adapt back is very short-sighted.
I know how left-handed people are, and you're stubborn, so you're going to learn how to do it wrong, and you're not going to be able to use other firearms.
I've used right-handed firearms all my life until just the past couple of years. I have no problem going over to the lefty. I'll have no problem going back to the righty if that's what I need to do, because lefties are used to living in a right-handed world. We have to be flexible. We have no choice.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm left-handed, and I just do things right with my right hand. I do it properly, so I'm not like an abomination or anything. And then,
Well, we have to be flexible, unlike righties, which are very inflexible.
Yeah, I just want to say this. In a stress situation, which, in this case it most likely will be, where you're going to have to pick up somebody else's firearm use, you're going to go to your lowest level of training. And if you're used to using just a left-handed firearm, then, in a situation, it could go really bad for you.
Yeah, your thumb's going to be wiggling where there is no release.
But
I want
if you only train on a pistol, you won't know how to use a rifle. That's the same sort of thinking, even though the manual of arms is different.
Well, I don't want to make it a training thing. I just wanted to throw that out. I'll just say again, I'm not saying one's right or wrong. One is right, the other one's left. But I just wanted to make it clear if somebody's listening new. Just because the gun can do that doesn't mean everybody is in lockstep with changing it over. There's, just go out and review it yourself. Do what you want. But I was going to say that I don't think of the 3 and 4 as an either or that one's better than the other. they have differences. I think of them more like different models from the same company. So SIG, has a whole bunch of models. Glock has other model differences like size. I just think of it as another difference. I guess the 3 at some point will go away. I don't know if we're going to talk about that, but for now, if you're a new shooter getting into it, I don't think it would be. I wouldn't bother putting the advice on or giving them any advice like don't buy this one or do buy that one because they're both equally good in my mind.
That's a good point.
If you are left-handed and you do want a left-handed mag release, there's only one option.
True.
I mean, if you're willing to go right-handed, then you have 2 options.
Right, but if you're, as Daniel said, if you're looking for left-handed options, then you're limited to 4th-gen Glocks.
Yeah. I mean, I have a safety on my AR, yet I don't feel that interferes with the manual of arms and my understanding of my Glock. I don't have any problem switching over.
All right. So those that are looking at Glocks and they're looking and they see something in the used gun case, you might see they're rare, but a Generation 2 Glock, and on those compared to the Generation 3, if they're looking at it, should they stay away from the Gen 2s?
Not necessarily. I mean, the primary, as I understand it, is the weapons light ability. So, I mean, if you really insist on wanting to put a weapons light or a laser or both on the front of your gun, then you might want to stay away from it. If you have no interest in that, then I think it's definitely worth considering.
All right. Okay.
You got something to be concerned about too with the age. I mean, it's possible you're going to get one that's been sitting in a drawer that whole time, but then it could have been sitting in a drawer in Arizona in 120-degree heat for months of the year. So, you don't know the history of it, and it just has more time on the earth to have gotten stressed and damaged or whatever. But that aside, it should function the same as any other Glock, and the parts are available for the most part. And if it has a massive failure, you could probably send it to Glock and get a new frame. So you're not going to be out much, but I still think it's worth. I would not advise someone to buy a Gen 2 or a Gen 1 for that matter because of the lack of accessory rail. Not because they're going to necessarily need a weapons light, but the accessory rail gives them that option in the future. And what if they don't need a weapons light or they don't need a laser, but then they break their arm and now they're forced to shoot with their left hand for an extended amount of time because they have to go through some kind of surgery or Obamacare makes them wait or something. So now they want something to aid them like a laser. You're not giving yourself that option by going with the older one. And then what if technology changes and they come up with some new gizmo device doodad that uses an accessory rail or assumes an accessory rail is going to be there since most modern firearms have them? You want to be able to participate, right?
Right.
Can you send your Gen 2 frame back to Glock and pay a certain amount for them to transfer it over to a Gen 3 frame?
I think that's a perfect question for DB. It's constantly doing that kind of stuff.
Well, it's funny because he's not the only
I've heard that somewhere.
He's the only one here with the teacup poodles and walking around.
They sell frames, so I mean, if you want to pay money,
Yeah, that's what I've said.
if you want, you can go on Glockmeister selling frames right now. So if you want to upgrade your frame, go ahead. I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, but the question is, are the internals transferable over to a Gen 3 frame?
Yeah, I think so. Don't quote me on it. But call Glock on Monday. But I think it's fine for Gen 2 to 3. I don't think there's any difference. It's the rail, right, and the 2-pin. No. If you have a 3-pin gun, it should be fine. And if you have one of those older 2-pin like Gen 1s, no, I don't. I think there might be an issue.
And if you send a busted Gen 2 back to the factory, they'll just give you a Gen 3, right?
They will, they'll replace every single thing they can. I mean,
they
won't give you a new gun.
Out the Gen 2 mold.
Let's put it this way: they're not going to let a gun. They're not going to let a gun stay in the wild that might injure anybody or blow up. They're not going to do it. So if you send them a gun that has a crack on there, they're going to send you a new gun if they can't repair it.
I know that.
I've heard stories where they'll well, go ahead.
I'm just saying they're not. If you send them a Gen 2, they're a busted Gen 2 frame. They'll probably send you a Gen 3 frame back.
I would think.
Yeah.
They might have a spare 2 frame sitting around. I don't know.
All right, so I think we've covered that enough on at least on the generations. The 2 you're going to see being sold at at the stores that are new are going to be Gen 3 and Gen 4. So keep that in mind when you're out there looking that there are different generations and
you guys talked about you guys talked about the texture, right? I mean, what a big deal that is. Okay.
Yes. But before you move on, Cork, you quickly touched upon used guns. Do you want to talk as a subset of that, police trade-ins? Because that's something that's not necessarily available in other lines.
Yeah, we can talk about that a little bit, especially since that is what I'm looking at for blocks of police trade-ins. So if you want to talk a little bit about that, police trade-ins I think they're awesome. They're normally well cared for guns. Just like if you got by a police cruiser, they're well cared for vehicles.
They're normally not really very shot very much either. They just mostly for certification, and that's it. Goes back in the holster, carried around every day.
They're gonna, I hate to speak in generalities, but I would agree with that. They're not shot a lot, but then again, they may look from the outside like they are because they're constantly going in and out of a holster daily. So there's going to be what I call honest holster wear on the frame itself. That's going to make it look like it's been used a lot, but it hasn't. The opposite is actually true. The inside is probably in very good condition.
Yeah, and the barrels won't be shot.
Looks and crannies on a Glock. Is there any issue or concern with little donut sprinkles being wedged into one of those nooks and crannies?
They're Glocks. They're like the AK. So.
Yeah.
Matt V's already proved that they'll shoot with donuts in them. So.
And there's a common phrase that a lot of people use that Glocks are the AKs of the pistol world, and there is I believe that to be true. But even if you may not believe that in its entirety, you would certainly believe it in in its whole. Certainly, the majority of that statement is true. So you can have faith in buying a used Glock gun as long as you do your due diligence on inspecting it.
Yeah, I mean, cop guns are usually what they say: shot very little, carried a lot, shot very little. But even if they were shot a lot, with the polygonal rifling, I mean, it's not like they're going to shoot the barrel out because that's damn near impossible. And the recoil spring is like what, $6? So if you just buy one and replace the recoil spring, you're probably going to be completely fine. And maybe the firing pin assembly is like what, $15 or something like that. So, I mean, the cost of the parts to just replace would be way under the discount you're getting, the $100 off or whatever you're going to get.
And I usually see them for like $320 or $330. They come with night sights. Usually they come with a stamp from the police department on the top of the slide or real big on the side of the slide. But that also gives you an opportunity to maybe Cerakote the slide if you want. Or if you're into collecting that police department's kind of stuff, you might like it.
Another thing I see about...
Oh, I was going to say, that brings up a good point. Night sights on the police trade-in. Some don't have night sights, so you got to look at that. But that gets rid of the plastic sights that are on there. I call it plastic, but it's polymer, actually. And you get to metal, sights, which hold up a lot better.
Another thing about police trade-ins is that usually they're 40 cal and usually they're full size because that's usually what's at least what I've seen from police trade-ins. So you're usually gonna find like a Glock 22 is the most common police trade-in I've seen.
In the past several weeks, I've been looking around and I have found both the medium-sized frame as well as the other day I had a guy send me a message where there was somebody trading in some Gen 3 baby Glocks in 9mm.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on your area. for that. I mean,
Those might be female officers too. I don't know if they carry.
These were online. This was not a local store. This is an online national place.
So something that was news to me, like, is if you have a Glock and you have the sucky polymer sights, it's a free upgrade from Glock to put the steel on there. They'll just put they look exactly the same, but they're steel. So you can call them on Monday and ask to speak to an armor and send your slide in, and they should pop those plastic pieces of crap off and pop the steel ones on for you for free. I mean, that's not a big deal.
That's a good point. You don't have to send the whole firearm, you just have to send the slide in.
Yep.
Before we leave,
So you don't have to worry about that overnight shipping and the other factors.
Right. If it fits, it ships.
Yep.
police trade-ins, I just want to talk about the night sights on police trade-ins. Because the guns have a number of years on them, night sights are limited in how long they'll continue to function at their acceptable brightness level. So typically, if it's a tritium night sight, as an example, 10 to 12 years is a common period where you, depending on how it looked, you may want to consider replacing it. So if you're buying a used gun that has night sights, it may or may not be near the time to have them replaced, or at least be aware of the issue. Because you're going to be looking at it, if you are lucky enough to see it in the store, with the lights on. So you're not going to have the opportunity to say, well, let me step into a dark room and see how much they light up. Just
you want to know
aware.
what kind of ball buster customer I am? You buy a used Glock, has Trigicons on there. Trigicon night sights have, I think, 11-year or 12-year warranty. So when I brought them to Glock, because I'm conveniently located near there, even though they're not the manufacturer of those sights, they said, well, there's a warranty. So like they'll check to see if they're dimmer than they're supposed to be, basically. So on the Glock night sights, I think it's 10 years. It might be anyway. So like even those sights have warranties. So if you have one that's say like 6 years old, but they're dark as hell, like they're not working anymore, there's a slight chance you might be able to send your slide to the manufacturer of the sight and let them see if it's covered under warranty to get new ones put on. Because they're supposed to last 10 to 12 years, and some of them die in 4 or 5. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
The tritium, which is typically what's most common in night sights, modern night sights anyway, simply the radioactivity begins to fade. And
right, and they're date coded. I mean, most of the Trigicons have the date on there.
Moon showing us, okay, November 2004.
These are like the brightest night sights in my house right now, and that's when they were manufactured after November 2004. So not all of them.
Most of the radioactivity goes into boobs and testicles. As long as you keep the sights away from those parts of the body, it lasts longer, right?
I do want to give a little.
That's Mepro.
You don't have to worry about. There's very little radiation in those, radioactive material in those night sights. So the only time you have to worry about it is if you break one of those things and you actually, rub it into a cut, basically. So.
Yeah, there's not enough radioactivity in those to cause damage.
Yeah, they're encapsulated, so even if you touch them, you can't get any radiation.
Right.
In
the radiation does not go through the glass. It will not go through your skin. I said you have a cut on your hand and you have to rub it in there to get any kind of radiation in your body. And there's so little that it's not something to worry about. But
unless you sit there and do it for like 10 years, it's not going to hurt you.
If you think of like watch dials that have a night ability to tell what time it is, it's the same thing.
All right. Now, can we move on, or you guys got anything else?
No, not yet.
All right. Now, there's a whole bunch of different Glock models out there. You'll often hear, something like, that's a Glock 17 or a Glock 22 or a Glock 27, and you don't know. You just hear these numbers, and you don't know, what's different between them. So we'll just kind of go down by caliber here, and kind of we'll talk about the models and a little bit and the different variations of these models. Like we'll start with the 9mm. The Glock 17, which is a 9mm. That's 9x19 Parabellum, or 9mm NATO. It's also called, and the Glock 17 is the first Glock made. That's the very first one. So it's 9mm. It holds 17 rounds standard capacity. So you can, and they do have a couple different models. They've got like the 17L, the 17C, the 17MB. So anybody want to talk that knows about the Glock 17, the differences?
What do you mean the differences of the Glock 17?
Like the Glock 17, that's a full size. That would be the full size 9mm.
Well, I had somebody comment on a video of mine the other day, and they said they wanted the 17 compact. So I told them that the compact would be the 19, and then the subcompact would be the G26. So there's a lot of people out there that don't know the nomenclature for each model.
That is why I'm going over this. And they might see like a 17C and think that's let's see.
Compact, but it's compensated.
That means compensated, and the compensated means that it's got slots cut into the barrel and slide that allow gases to rise up. And if Dano had his picture up, you could actually see what a compensated block looks like.
I'll get it. I get for having my camera on.
Don't stress Dano out too much.
And we won't have to cover this. We'll talk about these different models a little bit more about as Dano gets it locked in here. Lock in on him once he can get it up.
Hey, don't talk about that. That's not funny.
Dano's starting in the new CLS commercial next month.
My preset doesn't seem to want to be working. I think my bandwidth is too low or something.
Oh, okay. Well, it really is a cool picture if Dano actually had that working. I'll unlock from here in a second. But it's it'll shoot flame basically. You'll see the flame in the pictures. You have a compensated block, so it shoots little flames up, kind of
Here, Corey,
up the top.
give me 1 minute and I'll share the image here. I have it pulled up.
Thank you.
It just took a minute Google search and I got it. There we go. Let me zoom in.
There we go. It's up and to the side, as I like to call that.
I don't see anything.
I see a blank screen.
I've got it locked on. I've got it locked on your thumbs.
Okay.
That's what a compensated block looks like.
Dano's picture.
Yeah.
Yes, that's Dano's picture.
When it's working.
To give people that idea of what it looks like. So the next one would be the 17L, which actually kind of makes sense because like the C, which can be a little confusing. 17L means that the long slide or has a longer slide and the extended barrel. For a full size, what would the advantages of the if they're looking for a longer gun like that? What would the advantages be for the L model? Would you say competition shooting, target shooting?
Yeah, competition, long distance stuff. I mean,
more sight radius.
Not necessarily. Would you consider the 17L a carry gun?
No.
No.
I mean, maybe home defense, maybe. I mean, for more sight radius.
I personally wouldn't consider any 17 a carry gun.
And I wouldn't.
I carry a 1911, so yeah, I would consider it.
You mean concealed carry or just carry in general?
Just a carry gun in general.
I mean, open carry, sure.
Cops would carry a 17. I wouldn't mind that. 17 rounds.
Yeah, because carry that's all
open carriers.
Lost. I'm pulling a stone guy here and I have lost for words. Your personal perspective on how you can carry. Like, I'm a bigger guy. I can carry a full-size gun, no problem.
Now, I just have a question. I don't know. How much more does the 17L weigh than the regular 17? I mean, I can't imagine it's that much more.
I can't tell you off the top of my head.
I mean, I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to see
Not
if
enough to be able to tell the difference.
yeah, I wasn't sure like if it's going to weigh too much more that it's going to be noticeable. Then I'm going to weigh it against how much more sight radius are you getting. But if it's not much, and I don't think it really makes a difference.
What happens is your pen keeps running out of ink because you always have to write down the numbers for all the ladies that come up because you've got a cool 17L on.
I actually have the answer here for Thin Blue. It weighs 1.6 ounces more.
Yeah, see, that's not a huge deal for the extra sight radius.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, Glock considers a 17L a competition gun.
And until it was banned in competition.
Until it was banned in competition. And it's got 1.5 inches roughly longer total length. Barrel length is roughly the same too. So,
and the gun that replaced that for competition is what? For those people out there that may not know.
34.
34, 35.
34 and 9mm, and the G35 and 40.
Yeah. Now the video gamers out there in the world, since we cover... Oh, excuse me, we forgot one Glock. The Glock, if they see something with the MB, that's the version with the ambidextrous magazine catch.
Ambidextrous. There is no I. Ambidextrous.
Ambidextrous. What did I say? Ambi?
Yeah, you said ambi.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
Ambidextrous. Sorry. My Wisconsin accent coming through. So that's what the MB stands for. It's the ambidextrous magazine catch.
What else?
So, something that video gamers know very well, and can anybody guess what that is on the panel?
18.
The Glock 18. Now, this is something that, you may see in video games, but you may not see in real life, or very rarely in real life. And the reason why that is the selective fire variant of the Glock 17. We won't go into a whole lot about it because there's very few in the market, and you pretty much know about guns if you get a Glock 18. You may want one really bad, but you're not going to be able to get one.
At least not easily.
Right, with that being said, I mean, I'm not disagreeing, but there are at least like 6 different places in Vegas now that you can rent full auto, and I know at least a couple of them have Glock 18s. So while you might not be able to own one yet until we get rid of the huge limit, then you might at least be able to shoot one next time you're in Vegas.
I'm going next weekend.
There are companies out there that make conversion kits too, so with a tax stamp, I believe.
I don't know anything about that. That's way out of my wheelhouse. Alright, now this is probably the most recommended Glock by Stone Guy ever. And this is a question for those out at gun channels. The very first person who answers this right after I post this message in gun channels will win the prize pack. What is the most recommended Glock by Stone Guy? So we'll go ahead.
Not the most recommended, the only recommended.
Yeah, I mean...
no, he will recommend a different one for competitions.
Yeah, he's recommended a couple.
Yeah, that's true. But without that caveat, there's only one.
He
There
talked
is
me
only
into
one.
one.
Often considered the carry Glock. Everybody wants to carry this one or the baby Glock.
It's the holy grail.
All right, you got it. You got the
Hey,
answer
we got
for
a winner, Chris W. You haven't won yet, have you? Do you want him just to send the information to me?
And the 19 is not a baby Glock.
If you would, and then send me an email so I can keep
No.
track.
All right, send just text me
You ought to be
Chris,
able to-
just text me that information, or not text me, PM me that information, and I'll pass it on to G-Webs.
I'm glad I wasn't out there. I was thinking of the Glock carpine conversion.
So, it's a Glock 19. Just we should answer that question for everybody out there listening. That's Stone Guy's favorite. It's the compact.
Everybody's favorite.
Yeah, the compact and the size difference between the. Let me scroll down again. The size difference between like the 19 and the 17 and barrel length is not even a half an inch. But
So it looks like Chris already won.
Oh, Chris already won? Dang you, Chris. I said it for people that haven't won. So who's the next up? Who hasn't won yet? So DF2 dot.
He won like 7 times already.
Has he really?
Sinister?
Won the record for winning the most times.
I can't look through. Yeah, DF2 dot. Let's see. I have to go through the winners list. I'm sorry. So talk about the 19
Sinister
one,
was the
maybe.
next one after him.
I don't think he's won yet.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard his name in the little winning thing.
Well, I chose the 19 after about a week of fondling both of them, the 17 and the 19, in my local gun store. And I chose the 19 because it has a shorter grip, and that's the part that sticks out the most when you're concealed carrying. It was pretty simple for me.
It's true.
All right, Sinister, send me a PM with your name and address, and I'll send that to G-Webs. So why do you guys think...
Whoa, what the hell?
Whoa!
I didn't know there would be robot mice in here. I don't.
Like listening to the Chipmunks or something.
You know, we were talking about the chipmunks, right?
Yeah, the Chipmunks joined us. So I guess they like the 19.
They were interested in knowing
What was
about
that cartoon show with the Chipmunks? Marvin or in the Chipmunks or something like
Alvin
that?
and the Chipmunks.
Alvin.
Marvin.
Marvin was a Martian.
Alex and the Chipmunks.
Marvin was a
All right,
Martian.
when-
Alvin was a Chipmunk.
When people are looking at the 19, it's 1 ounce less unloaded. But the thing that makes the 19 so carryable is the shorter grip. It doesn't have as long of a grip as a 17.
The length of the grip.
Length of the grip, thank you.
So if you're talking about the Glock 19 and the Glock 17, I don't really have that much experience with Glocks, but do they make magazines with a little, I don't know what you'd call it, the little, like the longer magazine than the Glock 19 and have like little
You don't
extension?
need-
Yeah, the extension.
Yeah, X grips.
They do.
I wouldn't recommend them.
Yeah.
I don't
Why is that?
Are you asking about extendos?
Hold on, I'm just
I was asking about the
That would like go in between that and the extra
Right.
part.
Yeah, the little sleeve.
right.
a 17 mag fits more washing perfectly into a 19, but they work
Yeah.
pretty good without them. So
For 99% of the people out there, your hand's not going to go beyond the length of the grip anyway, and even touch that part that sticks out. So why would you need it?
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
wouldn't
I have a
recommend it, but
26,
I'm sure
which
they
is
make them.
even shorter, and I use Glock 15 and Glock 17 mags on mine, and I don't bother with them.
I've had people say, "Well, your magazine moves back and forth. Your magazine moves back and forth on a regular stock factory Glock, so it doesn't matter. I mean, they move
Yep.
back and forth anyway." So
I mean,
Well, one reason that
moving
people will put a
doesn't mean-
sleeve in to fill that gap is the concern about putting the lips into too much pressure situations. So if you've got an extended magazine sticking out further than the bottom of the grip, and there's no floor plate to stop on the bottom of the grip, then you could ram those lips up higher than they need to go. In other words, normally a mag is going to be held in by the mag catch and the bottom of the frame, but if you don't have any bottom of the frame resistance, all of it is on the mag catch, so you can damage your mag catch, I guess, and potentially your lips.
I don't know about everyone else's, but my floor plate doesn't come anywhere near the bottom of my gun. It doesn't touch it at all.
Right, but when you slam it up, it can't go but more that little gap. Like the
Oh,
most
I got you,
it ever
I got
go
you.
with that little gap.
I
That
got
would
you.
stop it physically.
It's got like an overextension.
30. Like if you were rolling 30s on everything, you would jam that up in there and basically mess up your lips.
Gotcha.
If that's theory or if that's in real life.
I've never even heard that except from just now from you. I mean, I never even thought of
That's why
it.
I bring this kind of stuff to the table.
I mean,
Yeah,
I can
is it
somebody
Gomez? What's his name?
and
Paul,
really
Paul
slide
Gomez?
in there constantly.
Yeah, if you did it constantly, I could see that happening. But occasionally, I don't think.
I can tell you they look goofy, and I don't get having a long grip with a short barrel.
Sorry. My mind roared.
Be mature
of the
here.
dimensions you want.
I mean,
Alright,
I guess like in a hit the fan situation, I wouldn't really care how long the grip is. I mean, as long as the ammo's working.
Well, I wouldn't be worrying about sleeves or X grips and shit hits the fan situation.
I have to say it. I that's like one of the very, very farthest things from my mind when I'm purchasing guns and shit at the fan. That's like I consider that even like infinitely less probable than the actual self-defense scenario. Like I think of the things like everyday stuff when I buy guns. I'm not to the point yet where I'm buying guns specifically for apocalypse. I haven't made a zombie gun yet, so.
But there are aspects of shit hits the fan that you can still enjoy on a regular basis, like interchangeability of magazines.
Yep.
That's a nice feature, and just in day-to-day going to the range.
No, absolutely, and definitely regular features of weapons do bleed into the prepping aspect or the shit at the fan aspect. But I'm just saying, like as far as like magazines and like I worry about concealability because that's what I do every single day.
All right. Well, the next Glock on the list that fits in this 9mm category is something I know Dano loves, and that's the Glock 26. And that's their subcompact variant of the 9mm. Its standard capacity is 10 rounds. So I know there's factory magazines, etc. You can actually have a lot more rounds than that, but that's the standard capacity, and that is probably one of the more popular subcompact guns out there, wouldn't you say? 26.
In fact, my Glock 26 actually will take 33 rounds. So, take what you want.
Hard to conceal that, though.
Well, you'll have to talk to Digital Prophet about that. Evidently, he's got the technique down.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
And just so you know,
I've heard that you have 30s on everything.
Yeah, the standard capacity of the 26 is 10, but you can have 12, 15, 17, 19, 31, or 32.
And you can also mix up those numbers with the plus base plates. But on the Digital Prophet subject, I heard that it was all up front, and that he actually only carries 10-round magazines in his Glocks.
And he only carries 380s. All right, now the differences here you're going to get is the gun is, unloaded weight is just shy of 20 ounces. So between like the 19 and the 26, you're, again, about 1 ounce less weight. But the differences come in the barrel length and the total length. You're talking an inch and a third shorter in length, and then you're talking about the handle length, the grip length is also going to be much shorter. So it's a very easy gun to conceal. You only get it's a 2-finger grip gun, but it's much easier to conceal. Anything anybody else wants to add on the Glock 26?
I like the size of them, and I am definitely considering getting one. Even though everybody's recommended the Glock 19 to me.
You can't. Go ahead, Doug.
I was just going to say, since this is a chat for newbies, I think it's important that we mention that if you consider it, you're using the same bullet as you would in the 19 or 17, but you're using a smaller overall size and weight. So you're going to increase your felt recoil when you move to a 26 from a 19 or a 17. So it's going to jump around a little bit more than your standard Glocks.
That's very true.
The other thing I feel it's critical to mention is the 26, as well as another model, the 27, as well as another one, does not have a rail for a weapons light. So if that's important to you, you need to know that. The baby Glocks, the entire category, does not have a rail for a weapons light.
I don't think you can have a conversation about the 26 or 27 without talking about concealability. Y'all think that a single stack is just as concealable? I mean, a double stack in the same like overall dimensions is the same concealability as like a single stack?
That's all. Everything's going to be subjective to each person here. But in generalities, we can talk about this.
I think it's incremental. I think depending on your body type and size and things like that, what dimensions, especially also how you carry it, are the most critical. And when you're talking about, whether it's 1/10 of an inch or slightly more, slightly less, that can make a big difference depending on how you carry your body type. So
No,
the answer
what I've
to
noticed
I think it's about time we quit coddling the people that thinks there's a difference between like a fraction of an inch.
Here's
If you
my
can
little
create a
2 cents.
double stack in pretty much the same space as a single stack. It's a no-brainer.
There's concealability and then comfort level, and you know what? The 26 is concealable as all get out, dude. I mean, if you can conceal a 26 as well as a shield, as well as anything else, a snubby is the comfort level, and if it's a 1/4 of an inch thicker than a shield or whatever, the shield might be more comfortable. Then you got to weigh out. The shield has 7 rounds or 8 rounds. This has 10. It is what it is, but they're all concealable pretty much. I mean, you can conceal a 19.
Shoot those little tiny thin ones. They're
Yeah.
to shoot.
So that's what I was going to get into, is that I've concealed carried quite a few different sizes and frames of guns over the years, and the only thing I've ever found that the single stacks have over the double stacks really is comfort level. You have a higher comfort level because it's thinner, if it's closer to your body, or if it doesn't move your pants as much if you wear it inside the waistband. But I've never noticed any difference in concealability. I can carry a full-size 17 or 1911 concealed, no problem.
I completely disagree. I cannot carry a full-size Glock. For me, there's a difference between single stack and double stack, and if I'm going for concealability, I will always choose a single stack.
Okay, but are you talking about with your standard everyday stuff? Because I mean, like if I'm going to carry a full-size gun, if I wanted to hide an Uzi, I would wear a heavier coat than I normally would. If I wanted to carry a full-size Glock concealed, I would wear an overshirt as opposed to a T-shirt over the handle.
Yeah, but this is just what I normally wear. Like
Okay, yeah.
I don't dress any differently when I carry. I don't dress any differently at all, and anything like for me, anything sticks out. Like my flashlight in my pocket sticks out, and that thing's like 3/4 of an inch thick, right? Anything sticks out on me. So a single stack sticks out less than a double stack is more concealable for me, and there is such a difference as 1/2 an inch or 1/4 of an inch does make a difference in grip length for me.
Well, that brings in one other thing that we haven't mentioned yet, and that's your clothing type, and not only body type, but also like, do you wear skinny jeans or regular jeans? That's going to make a huge difference.
And you'll wear skinny jeans.
Yes.
Exactly. I mean, not only, I can't tell for sure, but it seems to be if you're very lean, very thin, and you're into very tight-fitting clothing, you're going to have a much harder time concealing.
Well, it doesn't always have to be like skinny jeans, like tight.
They're not even that tight either.
Right,
They're just regular. They're slim fit. They're not regular or like baggy, but they're slim.
Oh, I thought you were wearing jeggings.
I still disagree. I totally disagree. For years, I've worn the exact same shit I wear all the time. I've never had any issues. It's just a matter of, and honestly, a huge thing with concealed carry is comfort on yourself. I think you're noticing like your flashlight bulging out of your pocket more than anything else, or bulging out of your waistband more than anyone else would. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that I think that's like we notice these things more than anyone in the real world does. Anyone out there looking at us.
But our self-confidence will also help us feel more confident when we're out there in the real world, that we're not showing, hey, everybody, I've got a gun.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound like John Willis or anything, but I just got over it. I just don't. It doesn't bother me. I got over it.
Yeah, I mean, in Washington State, it doesn't matter if I print or not, so I'm not as worried about that. It's just more of like, it will stick out on me no matter what. Like to a point where it is kind of pretty noticeable if you look at me for longer than like a second.
Well, and I'm in agreement with you guys because I just started wearing a shoulder holster and I'm having to relearn to ignore the fact that it sticks out and stuff. Like obviously I have a big bump on the side of my chest, but
Yeah.
I'm just learning to ignore it.
I just felt like this. If you wearing a Glock 26 with no matter what kind of jeans you were wearing, your shirt, and it's poking out and everyone's pointing at you and giggling, but you put a shield on and that stops, I mean, go for it, dude. But I mean, I doubt there's much of a difference. I really do. Depends on how tight your shirt really is. Because talking about your pants, that's one thing. But printing through your shirt, you're not going to really be printing through your pants, right? It's your shirt
That's
that
what I
matters.
was saying. I've been fighting the fact that I need to wear large shirts for like 5 years now. I've been wearing mediums for like 5 years, trying to pretend I'm not a large, and it's just a matter of getting used to it and finding out that it is actually concealed, whether or not you feel like it is.
Well, that being said, all summer I pocket carried a LCP 380 pretty much, and a 26 most of the time. But there are times where that's all I got. It is comfort, you know. It's 100 degrees out or whatever, you know. It is what it is. So, I mean, like everyone, that's why they make the Shield, or that's why they make the PF9 or whatever. It's because there's a need for it. But I think the 26, in terms of this is a Glock chat, and I'm telling you, the 26 is incredible. I mean, it's just so versatile. There's times where I can't figure out what's my favorite. Like the 26 or the 19 go back and forth because the 26 does everything a 19 does pretty much with the, you can stick the 15-round mag in there. You could get one of those sleeves if you want. It doesn't, you know, I don't care about the sleeves, but it's just such a good all-around CCW gun.
And then there's the 42.
That's
Well,
true.
we'll get into that in a bit here, Huck, but the next one would be
We had a couple of pages taken together. That's page 46 of the script. We're on page 42 right now.
Yes, that's exactly right. Daniel's been following it very well. We can watch his eyes go as he's talking.
I thought this was
teleprompter's a little too high.
his way of paying homage to Nathan not being here.
Very true. But is
By the way,
last
Nathan hunting, is that where he's been?
Yeah, I think that's what
Yes.
he's doing. He's hunting.
Yes.
elk? But the last one here is the Glock 34, the 34, and we talked about that a little bit earlier. That's a competition version of Glock.
How'd you go in that order?
Because we're going all the 9mm. And I'm going by number. Why do you want me to go like 17, 18, 19, 20, 21?
By
Oh.
caliber makes sense.
All right.
Or
Yeah, I
by
wanted to cover the 9mm for those that are looking for the 9mm so they don't have to wait through it.
And I thought we'd have hit the 34 between the 22 and the 17L.
We mentioned the 34, where we talked about the 17L's replacement.
Right.
Well, I know, like, in terms of, like, people who are buying their first Glock and they're trying to decide, like, that maybe they're going to go with the 26 or the 19 for concealed carry and they want to go bigger, they always talk about, should I get the 17 or the 34? It's the same frame, right? It's just, you know, what is it, an inch? Or not even, right? It's like a half-inch. I think it is an inch and a half on whatever it is. Just a little bit longer barrel, a little bit longer slide, right? So people will go back and forth thinking, what should I get, 17 or 34, for a long time before they make a purchase, you know? I tell you to get the 34 because, you know, it's nicer when you got a light on there, right? The carbon and the fouling doesn't hit the light the same.
If you're going to go that long, you might as well go all the way.
And get the 17L.
Or the 34 or whatever, right?
No, I'm just saying the 34, yeah. I think the 34 is a great home defense gun, competition gun, all around. It's a big gun, you know. It is awesome. And the difference between that and the 17 is very little, so.
The difference in length is 0.8 inches.
Oh, that's a good. That's
The 34 is 0.8 inches longer than the 17.
you're squeezing out. Daniel probably know, like you're squeezing out a tiny bit more velocity, out of a 9. Might give it a little bit more energy. Probably not noticeable by chronos or whatever.
You're probably going to benefit more from the bigger sight radius, if anything.
That too, yeah.
And as far as weight difference, I mean, it's just under 1 ounce difference. The G34 is less than an ounce heavier than the 17. So, if you're into counting ounces, it's 1. And then, the trigger pull, they do come with 2 different connectors. The 17 comes with a 5.5 pound connector. The 34 comes with a 4.5 pound connector.
All right, should we go into 40s next, or which one do you want to go to? What do you think, 40s or 45s?
What other guns are there that is only in 40 that's not in 9mm? Like the Glock 26 is 27, so on.
Right.
There's not much difference there.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. But I want to talk about there's a little bit of difference in numbers here. We'll just kind of do a brief rundown here. The Glock 22 is the full-size version of the 17. Remember, this is an all-40 Smith & Wesson. The Glock 23 is the compact Glock 19. The 24 is a competition variant of the full-size 22, which is like the 17L. So that, again, goes to the moved up to 35. So then you've got the Glock 27, which also is known as a baby Glock.
Which, again, has no weapons.
Light mount.
Thank you.
Now, they do make 45 versions. Like the Glock 21.
And then isn't that the same? The Glock 21 is pretty much the same thing as the Glock 20 with the internals being different. Like the frame size and the slide size is the same, right?
Yes.
But the frame is wider than your 9mm and your 40 caliber in that same large standard size pistol.
Yeah.
I do want to back up here real quick too. With the 40s, that's what I was going to bring up before I went to the 45s. The 40 Smith & Wesson, you can do something nice with the 40s, the 40 Smith & Wesson Glocks, and that is have interchangeable barrels.
Ah, yes.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point, actually.
That's one of the greatest points for actually considering a 40 if you don't want to stick with the 40. Because you don't have to change guns to change calibers. That's a major selling point.
Yes, and don't even, if you just want to go to like a 357 SIG cartridge, you don't even have to change magazines, you just have to change the barrel.
But the question that becomes is that conversion, just as do you have the same benefits of that conversion when you go to, if you get like a Glock 27, put a conversion barrel in it, is it the same thing as having a Glock 26 is I guess the question, because I mean people are unwilling to accept that conversion as reliable and all that stuff.
Well, the reliability, does have a potential question mark, but as far as range use, anything except for concealed, carry, I would say it is the same, but for concealed carry there is a question.
Right.
That's if you're going to the 9mm, but if you're going from 40 to 357, the reliability is generally going to be there. And again, that's 357 SIG, not 357 Magnum. So that's one plus of going with the 40 Smith & Wesson versions of Glock. And Glock does make a 357 version as well, which you can do the exact same thing. You can put a 40 barrel in there, and you're off to the races. There's no other changes that need to be done to the firearm. Unlike the 9mm, if you went from 40 to 9mm, there's other things that
Wait, I thought that you could put so you're saying that 357 you can put a 40 barrel in and a 9mm barrel in?
I'm not sure about the 387s. I know the 40s. A lot of the
Right.
40s.
I
you
thought
get
the
a 9mm,
357
but
you
yeah,
could put 9 in, but you couldn't put the 40 in the 357.
357 and 40 are the same, so they can go back and forth.
Same frame, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're just packaged with a different barrel. That was my understanding from everything I read today.
Yeah, the only reason you'd buy one or the other would be if you want it to be a Glock barrel that says 357 SIG on it. Then you swap it to 40. Or
Okay, that's good.
Or the frame, or the frame or the slide.
Yeah,
Or
so
maybe it was the only one available or something, like all the 40s were bought up and the 357 was there, or maybe the 357 was cheaper because no one's buying it, or vice versa.
Yeah, I mean, when I asked Glock about it, they said people usually buy the 40, like the 23, and then go look for the 357 SIG barrel. But you should probably do the opposite, because it's really hard sometimes to get the 357 SIG barrels from Glock or Glockmeister or Glockparts.net. I think Glockparts.net and Glockmeister and all those, those parts companies and stuff, they get them from Glock. But I remember Glock telling me, it's going to be a while for 357 barrels, man. If that's what you wanted to do, you should have bought a 357 and bought the 40 barrel, because we're always making 40 barrels, and they're always out there at parts places. You know what I mean? So, anyway, that's it. My little 2 cents.
And there's also, talk about, carrying a gun. Say your carry ammo was going to be, 357, and there's always talks about wanting to have the, gun, stamped 357, just in case you get one of those, asshole district attorneys that want to throw the book at you. If you actually used it in a self-defense situation. So keep that in mind as well.
Not that you couldn't defend yourself successfully. It just might cost you more because your lawyer's got to deal with more crap.
Exactly. So now we'll go to
not save money in the long run.
Yeah, we can laugh at it because of, we talk about this stuff a lot. So the Glocks and the 45s, again, are going to be very similar to the 40 rundowns. You've got the Glock 21, which is, I'm just going to go back to the 9mm as we talked about. Glock 21 is like the full-size 17. Glock 30 is they call it the subcompact Glock 29. And you got the Glock 36, which is a slimline version of the subcompact Glock 30. They call it the ultra compact slide. So I don't know, a whole lot of people tend not to carry the 45s from what I've been seeing in chats and videos. Oh, and I forgot about the newest Glock is a Glock 41.
Also,
the 30S too. A lot of people are carrying the
30S.
30S. Yeah, a lot of people are carrying that now.
Talk about the 41 later.
I mean, the 30S has just got a slimmer grip, from what I understand about it.
So, yeah, but it's the same slide but slimmer grip, right? So it doesn't help you too much in carry.
It's a 36 slide on a 30 frame, 30 SF.
Yeah, it's a short frame. It has a short frame going this way. It's not thinner.
No, but it's nicer.
Yeah, very nice.
Now, which one do they call the single stack? Although it's technically not a single stack; it's a staggered stack.
36.
The 36. Okay, the slimline.
Isn't the Glock 42 the same way? It's not a true single stack.
Correct. It's staggered. And that the 36 only has a standard capacity of 6 rounds, so it's basically like having a
My bad.
So again, they have the different versions. They got like the short frame, which is the SF, and they've got the S. So you got to look at those. You're gonna have to look at those and differences.
I think as of right now, the 10 millimeter and the 45, there are no more SF. Like, there's no difference anymore. But I think they discontinued the fat grip. The non-SF versions are discontinued, so you might just be a 21 or a 20, but you're still going to get that SF feature, which is the short frame, not slim.
Right, now that brings us to 10 millimeter, the 10 millimeter auto. And they make two different versions, if I remember correctly, the 20 and the 29.
29, yeah.
The 20 is the full size, and that's a full size. And that's going to be the equivalent of the Glock 17. Now, the 10 millimeter is a powerful round. The female FBI agents couldn't handle it, so that's why they killed it.
I'm sure the male agents couldn't handle it either.
It's got a thicker slide.
Yeah, it's a little bit thicker.
Couldn't handle all the female agents complaining about their wrist being hurt.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, pretty sure the male FBI agents blamed the females, and they were bitching behind the scenes. They just used the females as a scapegoat.
The standard capacity is 15 rounds on the 20. They do make like a short frame version of it.
And the 29, have you talked about that yet?
No, that's what I want to talk about that and then talk about conversion barrels too, because it's another thing you can use conversion barrels for. The Glock 29 is the subcompact of the, it's similar to the 26, and it capacity of 10 rounds.
Actually, a question I had that I don't know the answer is, of the current Model 29 SF, is the length of the grip and the width of the grip the same as the smaller frame Baby Glocks, or is it still larger like the 20, even though it's an SF?
I believe it's still a little bit larger, but
what was the question?
It should be the same because they accept the same magazines.
No, the 29 and the 20 SF you're asking about?
The 29 SF and the is the grip itself the same dimension except for shorter as the 20, or is it actually a grip closer to the 19 and 23?
I think they measure it from the behind the trigger, like the part of the frame where the trigger goes, like there, to the where the pin is, like where the beaver tail is. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same.
Okay, so the G19.
Like that's when they say short frame, that's the only part they're measuring is from like right behind the trigger to the beaver tail.
So the G29 SF. I want to make sure I have this in a sentence. Has the same size grip as the G19, which is the 9mm, and the G23, which is the 40 cal.
No, they're like they're 45. It's like the same. You ever picked up a 21, a 45 Glock, like a 30, or they're the exact same as that, but they're not. 9mm and the 40 are so much. All around dimensions are so much smaller.
I understand the 20 is bigger.
Yeah,
I have no
same gun.
questions about the 20. My question is about the 29 SF.
Gotcha.
All right, I'm just going to read the Glock 29 SF is a version of the Glock 29 that utilizes a short frame, which is based on the standard G29 frame, same width, but reduces the trigger reach from the back of the grip by 2.5 millimeters, or 0.098 inches.
So, Dano, I don't know if maybe this makes sense. It's like saying is the 26 and the 19, it's the same as that. It's just a shorter grip. I mean, it's the same dimensions. It should be the same exact dimensions. It's just shorter by the, by the round count. So what is a 20 is like a 15 round gun, and the 29 is what, 10?
Oh, yeah,
So
I
don't
understand
know.
it carries both rounds.
Yeah, it's the same grip. It's like the 26 and the 19, same gun, same grip, just shorter.
And I answered it as best as I could.
This is why they're going away from the SF stuff. I mean, they're just. I think they discontinued the non-SF version. So right now, it's just a 29 or a Gen 4 29. There's no more SF anymore. They're all
Right.
SF.
Right, they're SFs, but the only difference is if you're getting a used one, then there is a difference.
Oh yeah. If you get an older one, you're going to notice it. It's noticeable.
Yeah.
I couldn't when they didn't have the SF21. I wasn't even interested. I mean, the gun was just felt really like a 2x4. I know people say that all the time, but it really did. And then the SF, what is it? What was it, like 2 millimeters? If that, I don't know what the measure. It made a world of difference to me. Like you could notice.
I've not got the 45 or the 10, but I've held it in the gun store for whatever's that that is worth, whether that's worth a little or a lot. But the difference in the grip to me, and my hands are, I wear extra large mechanics brand gloves, which again doesn't tell you much, but it felt like it's quintessential. Oh, it feels like a 2x4. Really came through for me.
Yeah, the SF made a huge difference. And even the Gen 4 now is even shorter than the SF, than that SF feature, so it should be even better. So if you buy a Gen 4 21 or a Gen 4 20, you're even getting slightly more of an advantage,
Because I've thought about myself as far as and some people feel that the 10 millimeter is too excessive for concealed carry and that sort of thing, but as a multi-purpose firearm where it fits possibly multiple roles.
It's a great outdoors gun, man. Like camping and stuff like that, or you're dealing with wildlife. It's awesome.
Your concealed carry gun can also be your wilderness gun.
Yeah.
You don't have to have two. Now it's nice to have two. I mean, it's nice to have three. Four.
In other words, if you're going out boar hunting, we'll use that as an example here. Wild pig hunting, you take along your 10 millimeter instead of having to go out and buy that 44 meg.
Or if you can only afford one gun, and this is what I'm my thinking is leaning towards, buying that 29, and then that's your Monday through Sunday, concealed carry. But when you do go out on the weekends and go pig hunting, you still have that same gun, but it's also able to serve another role.
Correct. And if you want to practice with that gun, you also have the ability to use, if those aren't familiar with it, the 40 Smith & Wesson is just a shortened down version of the 10 millimeter. So you can actually use 40 Smith & Wesson ammo in the 10 millimeter.
So you can get conversion barrels again, if that's what you want to try.
Or conversion barrels. It's the same bullet, just a shorter case.
Yeah.
I understand that, but you can't.
What's nice about the 29 and the 21 is you can get their conversions is that what you're talking about? They do 10 millimeter to 45.
Yes.
Successfully.
That's
and then I think they even have, I don't know, I think that's probably the only thing I would do personally. I would give that a shot, but I've heard that they go even further down, and I don't know how, because the magazines,
Right.
I guess they do. They go, they go 10 to, this is how it works. You can do 45 to 10, and you can do 45 to 40, they said, but I'm like, how does the 40 fit in the mag? I don't get it. But anyway, it's over my head, man. It's Glocktober.
And how a 10 would fit into a 45.
Well, the magazine, the 10, you'd have to buy the 45 magazines, they're going to be different mag, but the mag will fit into the frame because it's the same frame.
Okay.
They built the 40. I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, but the frame is the exact same dimension. The mag well and everything, the mag same dimension. So I don't know. It's the same.
The reason I think about the 29 for concealed carry is because obviously there must be some merit to it, even though the FBI didn't end up adopting it. there must be some solid science behind it.
I think those days, it was 1986, and we've come a long way with the ammunition now, so I don't think it's such a big deal now, you know what I mean, as it used to be, dealing with car windshields and doors and stuff like that.
Right.
But for wildlife and stuff, oh yeah, I mean, go for it, I would say.
But it's also, one of the closer rounds we can get in the semi-auto world to the revolver magnums.
Mm-hmm.
And ballistically, if you get a full power load, it is roughly equivalent to a 41 Magnum.
Yeah, I'm just, in terms of accuracy, FBI agents getting into gunfights, and, their recoil all over the place, shooting fast, before you know it, you're shooting over the bad guy's head and into an apartment complex or something like that. You know what I mean? It's not necessary anymore for them.
Well, one thing I forgot to mention, the 45s have a different rifling too, don't they?
What do you mean, the barrel?
Yeah,
Twist ring?
45s and 10s, don't they have
sure.
different rifling?
It's all polygonal, but I'm not sure, there's definitely different bores.
Octagonal, polygonal rifling.
They're all polygonal.
Yeah.
Every single gun they make is the same kind of rifling, but it's not the same barrel. You don't go shooting a 45 into 10 barrels. You got to get the conversion.
Yes.
Those conversions, by the way, are probably just traditional, rifling. So, because they're going to be Lone Wolf or, Barstow or KKM or something like that. So.
I just want to say real quick, if you are using, you're talking about using the Glock 20 or whatever for wildlife and stuff, and now we're talking about rifling. Well, typically, if you're looking at bear defense and all that kind of stuff, you want like heavy, hard cast lead ammo. And the people who make that, and they make it in hard cast heavy ammo designed for bears, but that usually has a little bit of a problem with Glock's rifling, and so a lot of people do go to like a aftermarket barrel because of that.
Right. Very true.
Yeah. I do want to cover the 357 SIG real quick. I mean, this is going to be quick because 357 SIG's got 3 models, and they go down the set: full size, compact, subcompact, 31, 32, and 33. As simple as that. Look at those. Talk about the 17 or the 40s, and again, the nice thing about the 357 SIG is you can put the 40 conversion barrels in the 357 SIGs, and go to the range with the cheaper ammo and practice with the 40, but carry a 357 SIG, which is a nice element.
Down here in my area, you can't even find 357 SIG. I mean,
yeah, but that's the beauty of the internet. All that stuff is available on the internet.
That's true. I mean, I'm more like to go to the store and buy it, but I mean, if you don't mind buying online, then sure.
Well, you make it sound like it's some big giant hassle.
I just like buying ammo from the store. I mean, I just don't. I'll order stuff online, just not ammo. I mean, that's just.
Hey man, buying ammo online is awesome. Most of the time you don't pay tax. Like shipping is usually not too bad. There's all kinds of free shipping. Palmetto State Armory has tons of free shipping promotions, and their prices on ammo are pretty good.
I buy online, and I have been for the past several years. I typically deal with just a couple of companies. I wait until they have it's predictable, almost every other month they have either reduced shipping or a $5 shipping or free shipping.
Or they'll lower the price of their ammo boxes to the point where the ammo plus shipping is like this, about the average size of a case, and you don't pay tax in most states.
Now, just like bulk shopping at Costco, you have to do the math and figure out how much is it per bullet to my door. Because buying more doesn't always mean paying less. Just like,
and that's
100 rolls of toilet paper.
Is storing it. Like, I don't have a lot of area to store it. So, I mean, like, so if when I go to shoot.
Pounds is like a shoebox.
Hey man, I live in a tiny apartment. I got no space for a lot of things, but I have a full reloading setup. I have tons of ammo. Like, you'll find a place for it under your bed, like in your freaking kitchen cabinets if you have to. Like, you'll find a way.
I mean, a steel 50 cal surplus can will hold approximately 1,500 9mm rounds.
Correct.
So it doesn't take that much room for 1,000. and bulk really doesn't. I mean, in order to make the shipping work out, you really need to buy, about 500 to make it be your favor.
Yeah. Well, we're getting off topic here, so let's drop this one. And I want to talk about I'm going to call it the failure Glocks. Anybody know what that is? It's a specific caliber.
That nobody wanted?
The gap.
Yes, and this
one.
is where people are going to get confused. 45 gap, and that's not 45 auto or ACP, it's gap.
Oh, 45. Yes.
Glock action pistol.
Exactly. Now, I've never seen a 45 gap.
Haven't they suckered a few police departments into buying that?
Yeah,
It's
New
a
York State, the
stubby,
New York State
good-looking
Troopers,
little round
man.
sort of
Huge, New York State Troopers got it, and they're not a
Pennsylvania
little
State Police.
rinky-dink. Yeah, they're not rinky-dink, but whatever. They love it, but I have seen them, and when they, like last year, maybe it was the year before, dude, they were blowing them out, like brand new in the box for like $350, $365, like the mid-sized ones and stuff. So, I mean, but good luck finding ammo, and I'm pretty sure like that's a dead round at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty much a good round. So if you see a Glock 37, 38, or 39, and you're thinking about buying it because, oh boy, this is the Glock for $350, like DD said, don't, because the ammo is not out there. It's going to be expensive, and unless you're somebody that's into reloading and likes that caliber for some reason, that's the only reason you should buy this. You're better off buying a police trade-in.
It's around just like Sig Sauer came up with the 357 Sig, and other manufacturers took it, like Smith & Wesson, Glock, as well as others, took it upon themselves to make a gun for that brand new round. When Glock came out with this great idea of a 45 gap, they were the only ones, to my knowledge, and there might be somebody else out there, that ever has made a gun for that caliber.
Para Ordnance made one. Made like a 1911 style gun for it, I believe.
But it's at this point, it's dead. It just hasn't been buried.
And I know the Florida Highway Patrol adopted the 45 gap, and I think they had it for all of 6 months before they were like, no, we don't like this.
And a lot of departments pick things for political reasons, not necessarily for officer preference or technical ballistic reasons. Just like, what kind of squad car do they get? Or who do they buy it for?
There's a reason most departments will allow their officers to buy their own weapon if they choose, and that's because most of the time the weapon that they issue is just because they got a good deal on it, not exactly because it's the greatest thing for them.
No, my understanding too was Glock basically were trying to enforce this new caliber on police departments, so they're basically giving them the guns and just having them buy the ammo from Glock, basically. That's why you see those in police departments, but you're not going to see these in civilian hands very often.
I think within 3 to 6 months of Gaston's death, that gun will be off the market. I think that's the only reason it's still out there, is he just won't accept the fact that it did not work out the way he wanted.
All right. So, again, we're going to say this because I don't think it can be said enough. Stay away from any Glock that's labeled 45 gap. I don't even know if there's ability to do interchangeable barrels.
Yeah.
There's not. The grip is shorter, so you can't fit it. I don't think you can fit a regular 45 round in a mag, in the same grip.
Yeah, and there's only one caliber left, and this is the reason
22?
I bring this up is, and I save this for last because it's kind of interesting because you got the 380 ACP. I just like to call it the 380. Now there are probably all of you out there that know that the Glock 42, which was just introduced this year, is the
third.
It is a the 380, but it's actually the third 380. You don't see too many of the Glock 25 or 28s in the U.S. market.
because they're law enforcement only.
Yep.
Well, that's one of the reasons.
Does anybody know if any law enforcement agency actually used those? Because I haven't even heard of anybody using those.
Somebody must have, or they wouldn't have imported them.
Well, available for import and actually importing them.
Well, they exist here. I've seen them.
Right.
I think they're mostly using the backup gun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know.
But even then, they're kind of big for a backup gun.
They're for lady cops.
You know,
That's when I saw one in person. It was a lady cop, and she was telling me about it, and I was like, I don't believe it. And she's like, I'm wearing it, and she showed it to me. I was like, okay.
She had a 25.
She had the whatever the 26 was, like the subcompact.
26
That'd be the 28.
Yeah, that'd be a 28.
how many rounds did it hold?
10 rounds.
Oh, okay.
28's 10 rounds. The 25 is 15.
I just can't even believe an agency would allow the cop to use that. But
Well, I mean, if they allow them to pick their own gun and they don't require a certain caliber, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like
Whatever the officers
LCPs
most
are on.
efficiently defend their life with.
Yeah, on the backup lists on police departments, I've seen like LCP is like one of them.
Yeah.
The whole sheriff's department up here carries Kel-Tec PF9s on their ankles. They have for years.
Yeah. I mean, as a backup gun, I think it's fine to pick what you want, because it's not going to be, or it's very unlikely.
This
Yeah.
one
Well,
female
from what I'm reading
might
here,
not have been able to qualify with anything but her Glock 28, 380.
Yeah. What I want to say here is from what I'm reading here, the Glock 25 and 28 are not available for commercial sale in the U.S. or domestic sale in the U.S.
But I just said that it was law enforcement only.
Right, so it'd be law enforcement. I just want to make sure. I want to make people aware that the 25 and 28 are law enforcement only.
Kind of like the G8 that we never talked about. Yep,
Yeah.
we almost work.
Yes, but I want to talk about the Glock 42 because that's the popular Glock that was just released this year. That's
Popularly hated, popularly despised.
Yeah, by a bunch of little girls who equate their caliber to their Johnson size.
Well, no, it's despised because we were all looking for a different caliber. It's not because of what it is. It just we wanted a 9 and they gave us a 380. Now we assume they'll come out with a 9 at some point. It just when you keep it secret and you let the momentum of your customers start rolling as far as the excitement of the new product. And all of a sudden, I wanted a V8, but they came out with a V6.
Okay, so how do you stop that besides without releasing the product early?
Well, you don't have to release the product early to release some basic broad strokes of what it is. Oh, it's a single stack.
That's what I'm saying, though. That kills the buzz. That kills the...
yeah, I mean,
Oh,
the
believe
big-
me,
the whole marketing thing of it. But
when they made it official that it was a 380, that was a buzz killer.
I don't know if it was a buzz killer. It was to me because I was expecting a 9, but there are a lot of people that wanted a 380 Glock for some reason.
And
I despise 9s in size.
you despise what?
9mm in that frame size. Anything that's smaller than, like, I don't know, maybe a 26 or so, I cannot fucking stand those. I can't even shoot an LCP or any of those things comfortably. I hate those things. 42.
Those things, what they're most ideal in doing is not being range gun. And I would agree with you 100%. They suck to shoot at the range.
No, they suck to shoot at any point.
Well, I mean, but if you're defending your life as a backup gun, I'll take it any day of the week versus a pointy finger.
I would rather take something that I can fire accurately with, comfortably with, controllable. I can shoot more in practice because it's easier to shoot. Like I'd rather be really proficient with something than have something really powerful that I rarely ever shoot.
Yeah, I just want to give everybody out there Daniel's idea of the backup gun here as a backup gun I'll never shoot this at the range. I'll just carry it around for backup. So.
Well, let's remember, he was just asking about a 10mm CCW gun, so the sky's on another level, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm talking about something that, yes, you take it to the range just as often as you take your main concealed carry pistol. You practice with it as often, but it is indeed takes the role of a backup. It never takes the role of your main carry gun. But you still practice with it as often. I mean, if it's going to sit in a drawer,
comfortable for somebody to shoot, they're not going to practice with it as much. So that's a disadvantage.
When you put it into action, it takes the role of your main carry gun.
What?
I mean, at any point, it can take the role of your main carry gun. Drop it, drop your magazine down a sewer grate.
Exactly, which is why you should practice with it as often as you practice with your carry gun. For that exact reason.
Well, yeah,
it doesn't have the same capacity, so there are always going to be downsides to a backup gun, and capacity is usually one of them. Being comfortable to shoot is usually another one.
I know this is Quark's chat, but how about we do something a little different here? Everyone knows that everyone hates it because it's not a single stack 9. So can we see if anyone has anything positive to say about it? I mean, is there anyone?
I'm hoping somebody will
own one.
It's very soft shooting. It's very compact. I mean, it's not as compact as my LCP, so I wouldn't replace my LCP with it. But it is pretty soft shooting.
That's actually after I just said that to bring up another downside, but it is also a lot bigger than most people expected.
I hear it's accurate too.
I wanted to say I took my mom shooting like last week. She shot a J-frame 38 642, a Ruger LCP 380, an LCR, and she shot a Glock 19, and we rented the Glock 380, and she was that was her favorite gun, period, hands down. She's not a gun person or anything, but she shot it well. It was comfortable in her hand, she said. It didn't hurt her. The J-frame, out of everything, made her want to go home and cry. You know what I mean? So, and I didn't even have plus P in it. It was just regular full metal jacket in the J-frame, and she hated it. She kind of liked the LCR. The Glock 19 she could shoot well, but obviously she's not going to pocket carry that or in her purse. It's a little too big for her purse. But the 42, the 380, she absolutely loved it. She's probably going to buy one. So I think there's a lot of stories like that. I think if you owned a gun company, it wouldn't be unreasonable to say to your employers, to your employees, like, look, I don't want a gun out there in a gun store that's going to be painful for any customer to shoot. I don't want a customer buying a product from us and going to the range and crying and going home with a sore hand. That's not what we're about as a company, and that would be fine. I don't think that's unreasonable. So I can see why they didn't do a 9, because if they did, there would be a slight chance that customers would buy it and cry in pain at the range and put the gun down, never carry it again, want their money back kind of thing. And I was like that with the PF9, right? I mean, I bought that gun, and it was absolutely one of the worst experiences I had at the range. And just in terms of recoil and how bad it felt, the recoil was very bad.
The grip line and everything are really, they bite into your hand really, really good. And I'm a knife maker. I use my hands every day on a grinder with no gloves, sanders, everything. And I can vouch for that. Even as a big, tough guy, it sucks to have your hands hurt. You don't want to train as much when it hurts to shoot something.
And I want to say, today I went shooting, and I shot my LCP. I shoot my LCP 380 when I go to the range now almost every time. And that thing doesn't hurt. It doesn't, like an LCP, I can shoot that all day. I mean, eventually I guess I'm going to get tired of it, but not like a PF9, dude. Like one magazine of the PF9 and you're pretty much done. Like, to me, that's just my opinion.
Good comparison. I was done. For years I carried my main carry pistol was a Walther PK 380, and it's a little bit bigger than the James Bond 380. And it's a solid steel gun. It's got a lot of weight and a lot of mass. And after a day of shooting 100 rounds, 200 rounds out of that, where your webbing of your thumb is just torn to shit, and it aches like somebody's been smacking it or punching it or bending it all day. And again, I've been making knives for years. I have strong hands. I cut firewood for years and years and years and years every day, and it's just a matter of it's not strength or being able to take the abuse. It's the wear and tear, the overall cumulative effect on your hands. Whereas, something that's got more spring power, more technology in it, that wasn't designed in the 40s or whenever the PPK was designed, you're just going to have a better, like you said, smoother shooting gun. That's my whole theory behind it, at least.
There was a video on YouTube, too, and they took like 6 women or whatever, and they made them shoot all kinds of guns, and every single one of them, like the Glock 380, the best. And I think it was on Gun Channel. Someone put a link up to it. On YouTube. It was like a long video, though. It was like a 25-minute video. They shot all kinds of guns. So I can see where they were coming from. It's not, maybe, I'm not going to say, oh, it's a gun for girls, but it's definitely a gun for concealed carry, pocket carry perhaps, purse carry, and it's not going to kill your hand, and that's it,
I got a question in the internal there for G for a second.
Another thing I wanted to bring up is that when they released the Glock 42, there were lots and lots and lots and lots of single stack 9s on the market. I mean, it was a very popular gun for the last few years, and there are quite a few of them out there. By releasing the 42 first, they completely just grabbed a hold of all the women whose husbands bought them PF9s and shit, and J-frames, and
that is true.
That is very true.
Basically, like it's a besides being an awesome little gun, and because I'm a supporter of it and everything, even if I wasn't a supporter, it was a killer marketing strategy.
Yep. Well, we're gonna be wrapping this chat up here pretty quickly. I got one last question to ask everybody, but I want to say congratulations to Tino here.
Why? What did I do?
He won the Glock prize pack for being a panelist tonight because he was the only one on this chat who hasn't won already.
All right, I'll take it. I mean, I'm not one to argue, but sure.
Poor thin blue.
I just have not been on that much, but thank you for the sympathy win there, Court.
Just by default.
You have my address. You sent me stuff.
Yeah, no, dude, it wasn't even sympathy. It was just default.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I'm going to tell myself that he cared enough. That's how it's going to go.
I got 2 last questions for the panel members here. First one is, what is your favorite Glock? And we'll start off. We'll just do a left right. We'll start with Daniel. He's reading the screen, looking for. You're at 19, okay.
19. My teleprompter says 19.
Yes, I will let people have their closing statements again. DB.
Yeah, the Glock 19.
G.
I've never actually owned a Glock. I've shot them. But for me, I think I'm going to say the 19 just because it is the most practical, I think, and it's the most versatile in terms of what I could do with it.
All right, Huck.
What was the question?
Your favorite Glock?
Mine. My 19.
Dano.
26. Gotta love it.
Moon.
Gen 4 26. I also have a Gen 4 23 and then I have a Gen 4 23 with a converted barrel to 9.
What are your favorite Glocks, Dano?
I said favorite Glock. I left it to 1. All right, Moon, you're up.
G19. I hate to, jump on the bandwagon, but it is the best Glock there is. So.
Scott.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I've got both the 23 and the 19. I'm just gonna say my 23 because I got it pimped out more.
Then blue.
19. As much as I like the 26, I think the 19 is better.
Mine is the Glock 81.
Can I change my answer since everyone said the same thing?
No.
No. No, we got Dano with 26 and me with the Glock 81. If nobody's familiar with the Glock 81, it's actually a knife.
That's the one with the saw, right?
Yeah,
Is that
it's
the
the one with the
saw?
saw back. But I was actually kidding about that. I'm going to go with the rest of the panelists and say the 19. Although it was a toss between the 17 and the 19 for me, I went with the 19 because it's just a little bit easier to carry. Although I don't own a Glock yet, but. And here's the follow-up question. Next Glock on your radar. If you don't own a Glock, that'll be the Glock you're thinking about getting. So again, we're going to start off from my right. So we're going thin blue.
I'm going to have to say the 19.
I knew that was coming. That's why I started out with him.
Might as well.
Did you say me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Probably a 34.
All right. 34. Moon.
What was the question? You don't know?
What's the next Glock on your radar?
Either an OD green or flat dark earth 26 or the same color 34.
All right. I know Dano's got a got an answer for this one. I bet you it's a 10 millimeter.
Well, actually, you said radar, so it's like just over the horizon, and I'm going to say that's a single stack 9. Now, if that doesn't happen, then it will be a Glock 29.
Okay. Huck, what about you?
Well, I was gonna say Glock 42 until Moonfood's answer. Now I'm gonna have to say either a Glock 19 and FDE or OD, because I really fucking want one of those.
G?
For me, it's a Glock 20. I think that if I like 10 millimeter in terms of what it offers in a semi-auto platform, and between the 29 and the 20, I'm gonna go with the 20 because for what I'm gonna use it for, I have no need to deal it.
All right, D's.
It's either a toss-up between a 30S or a Gen 4 19. It'll be my fourth 19.
And Daniel.
It'll be a 20. I need a backcountry gun. And I have a Glock coupon, so it makes sense.
Okay. For me, it'll actually be the full-size 40, the Glock 22, because for $330, I can get a police trade-in, and that's a great deal for a reliable gun. So I want to let everybody get their final words, and since Dano's having internet issues, I'm going to let him go first.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a re-announcement again that in tomorrow's chat, which will be at 9:30 Central Time, not 9 o'clock, 9:30, because I want to watch The Walking Dead. I'll be having another Glock swag giveaway, and one of the requirements to win is you must sub my channel. So if you're already a sub, you're covered. But if you're not a sub, you may want to go over to Just Dano and just hit subscribe, and then you got that part taken care of. It will be an easy question for anyone to answer. You just will need to be quick on the keyboard and hit submit, as long as you're subscribed.
All right, Daniel, anything cool coming up on your channel? Or?
I do not have a channel yet.
All right, he doesn't have a channel yet, but he's sounding like he's got a bad AM station right now. So. Daniel's got one more thing.
Yes, one more thing. I do have a video coming out in the next, I think it's 2 or 3 days, on emergency heat for the winter. Winter's coming up, and last winter was a terrible winter for those of us here in the north. And it's something that, you know, as a prepper, that I realized was a major hole in my preps. And if you rent, whether it be an apartment, a home, or something like that, or if you own your own home, you know, if the power goes out, and even if you have gas heat, you probably have an electric fan that's blowing it throughout your home. How are you going to heat your home when it's January, February, and it's minus 20 outside? So emergency heat options. So check out my channel for a video on that topic.
Also, just in case, if you have gas heat that doesn't require a fan to push air, but you got hot water heat, like I do, radiator, those require a pump to push the water.
Exactly.
So just don't cut that up. But Thin Blue's line answers to Dano's video is to cut a hole in the ceiling and build a fire right in the middle of the living room. Just so you know, so Dano's video is going to be Sawzall and cutting a hole in your roof.
Yep, Dano took my advice. He's building a fire in the middle of his living room.
Yeah. Come on,
Right.
watch me burn the world to hell.
DB, you got any announcements?
Well, Fire Clean is really a good cleaner. If you guys are curious about it and want to buy some, because I've been using it for like a couple of months now, and it pretty much rocks. But don't drink it, because I think I made a mistake earlier.
What?
And might have drank some.
Wait a minute, what?
That's fireball.
What else is there? Yeah, buy a Glock. Join GSSF, man. Get that coupon like Daniel said, like I got one. They'll just keep sending them to you. They're just like, they're unorganized or disorganized. They just keep sending me coupons, man. It's crazy.
Now, tell them what GSFS is and what the coupons do.
It's the Glock Shooting Sports Foundation, and you become a member, and that qualifies you to take an armorer's class. It qualifies you to shoot at a GSSF match. That might be happening locally. You might have to travel a little bit, be a man, go to a match, and have fun. It's fun. You win random prizes. The random prizes they give out a lot of free stuff. Like, I think we worked it out last time. Like, you almost have like a 15 to 20% chance of winning something. I counted like the shooters and then the prizes, Once a year, they'll send you a coupon, a pistol purchase coupon, and you can buy a gun at law enforcement price plus $20, which is a 9mm Glock would be about $420 plus tax. A 45 Glock, I think, is like $479 plus tax, or it depends, like I think it's like depends on the model a little bit. Once you get into the 45s and the 10mm, they're more money. But the 357 SIGs, the 40s, and the 9 are all $399 plus $20, so it's $420 plus tax. This can happen once a year. When you're a member, they'll send you a purchase coupon every year. To get the purchase coupon, you need to to get it right away. You need to sign up for a 2-year membership. Then they'll send you.
Your membership is how much?
$60.
It's like 65-ish.
So
You save-
60.
save more the
Say
more you
worst case scenario. Yeah, worst case scenario. Say it's like $70. When you're doing that, you're getting a gun for $100 off. So it's really like, you're still making money by joining.
Yes, and like here, that in my area, that would be like $200 off if you go to a big box store.
Gotcha. Yeah.
All right,
Anyway, that's how it works.
Yeah. Any announcements for us?
Who's that, me?
Yes.
Alrighty, I just posted a quick link up on the Gun Channel's homepage, and we have November 2nd coming up here, and I just thought it'd be neat if we start thinking towards what we're going to do for Every Second Matters and see if anyone has any suggestions for topics or areas that you want us to discuss on Every Second Matters, and it'd be cool if we could just create like just a pool of suggestions, and we'll have that to pull from when the chat comes along.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Every Second Matters happens every second of the month here. So, great for bringing that up. Huck. Huck is not there, I guess, but you can always go ahead and check out his eBay page to see what he's selling there. He does a lot of cool custom stuff and custom knives and jewelry and the like. So it's Ghost Town Custom Knives. You can go to ghosttowncustomknives.com, and links should be all in there for you to go check it out. I mean, you really got to check his stuff out. Not only is he a cool guy, he's an artist. And then we have Moon Food.
Yeah, I really don't have anything going on. I'm just stippling coffee stain mags, coffee stain staples. Oh, what happened to my mag? Oh, that's it.
That's interesting. All right, Scott, how about you?
Not finished yet.
Yep, I don't have anything. I just posted a new video on my FNs, but
That's something new, so you can promote your video in your channel.
getting ready for FN November, so
FN November, yeah, November. FN November.
Can I get one
All
more?
right, then Blue, I gave you some ideas, so you could actually start talking about your
Yes.
channel besides
You
chats.
did give me some ideas for some videos, and I'm going to try to get them done. This week is a busy week for me between everything I got to do around the house and get things ready for our little thing Friday. But I do have some ideas for videos that Court gave me, and then some of my own. So I will be trying to get those out sometime in the next couple weeks.
Are you going to be smashing things with a baseball bat?
No,
No.
but he's going to tell us the difference between fuzzy handcuffs and normal handcuffs.
Yes, I am.
And for my channel, we got videos coming out every other day. I can't remember what's coming out, but that's basically it. I have no clue since I made these all back in late winter, early spring, so I can actually enjoy my summer. So I made a whole bunch of videos in advance. So I want to thank everybody for coming out, everybody over at gunchannels.com for participating, and Dano's got something else for me to talk about, so go ahead, Dano.
Yes, I just wanted to do a general reminder. Over at Gun Channels, we're having a Glocktober shooting challenge. So for those of you that are interested in getting in on it, it's not too late. It's not a contest; it's just a shooting challenge. Simply just to see who can get the most points or whatever, and see how you compare against the other members. And so feel free to join on in. It's not like you're winning thousands of dollars or anything like that, but it's kind of a fun little thing.
Yeah, and I want to say also for this next week I'll have one more prize pack to give away. I will be doing that as a YouTube and Gun Channels combination giveaway, so I haven't figured out the whole details yet, so you got one more. Don't have a topic for next week yet, but I got a week to think of one. I wanted to do one specific Glock chat, full Glock chat, and that's why I did tonight's. I figure since I'm a Glock, newbie as well, since I don't own a Glock yet, and been looking at it.
What the hell is Dano doing?
Dano is making faces I should hide from broadcast because he's going to crack up. But I also want to thank Glock if they ever watch this stuff, but for giving away giving us these prize packs to give away, and I also want to thank Gun Websites and all the sponsors for taking on this massive chore, because it is a massive chore for G-Webs, who's doing a lot of the shipping of this stuff, and the sponsors for helping out with the shipping. And I want to thank Dano for making silly faces at the end of my chat. So if you're listening to this on a podcast or something, you have to go and watch my video. It's Mr. Cork71. Thanks, everybody, and night.